Okay, hello guys. So the next topic we'll look at is the menu buttons and dialogs. So the title bar, also called toolbar or action bar or menu bar. Um, it is often used for some additional actions or things that are not specific to not necessarily specific to the activity, but to the whole app itself, like going to the settings button or something like that, right? So we'll see how to do that. But before that, here is what the app currently looks like. Okay, there are a bunch of entries in here. You click on one of those. So um, wait, that was really slow on the view here. Let me go back and try again. Okay, okay, there is some lag. Um, okay, let me try and click movie. Wow, okay, it's just taking time here. It's working fine on the device. Um, Not 150, but maybe I spent 3 hours watching the movie. Good old Bollywood Hindi movies are actually 3 hours long. So if I make this change, you can see here the movie is now 180. Okay, so this is working like that. You can add entries, you can update those. All those queries are working fine. All right. So now, um, yeah. So what do we do with menu buttons? And in the process, we'll also talk about a dialog box, which is essentially a fragment. So continuing on our knowledge of fragments, it's a different kind of fragment which we are going to look at. Um, the recommended reading, you have menus guide and the dialogues guide from the Android developer official documentation. So dialogues, as you know, are small windows that show user additional information, etc. And sometimes they can ask for confirmation. For example, do you want to delete this? Are you sure? Something like that. They do not fill up the entire screen. They take partial screen, so they are like modals in some sense. And some common ones, inbuilt ones, are alert dialog, which shows a title like this journal app here. Um, then the message, which is the information about this app, and it can have up to 3 buttons. So OK, cancel, maybe, it's like that. And it can have selectable items like radio buttons you might have seen, or a picker to check to choose like screen brightness or things like that. Or it can have a custom layout, so you can provide layout to it as well. And then you have a date picker dialog or a time picker dialog to basically pick date or time from the calendar, um, etc. Okay, so we are going to do a bit of live coding of how to do this, how to implement that alert dialog here quickly. So first of all, create a class info dialog fragment, extends the dialog fragment, and it simply has on create dialog. Everything else, all the other methods are um, covered by its parent class dialog fragment already. We don't really want to override those here. Default is fine. And here we build it using a builder, um, which takes a context, and then you can do things like set title, set message, set positive button, etc., etc., and finally return a dot create. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, I already have it in the code, so yeah, that part is fine. Um, so yes, build and then configure title and message. Yeah, so there is positive, negative, and neutral buttons. Those are the names. You can give them any string, though. It doesn't have to be OK or yes. It can be any other string as well. Um, Hurrah, cheers, if you want, for example. And then the second parameter here is the on-click listener, which I am simply using a a function pointer essentially, but that is simply dismissing the dialog because yeah, we showed the information and fine, go. So yeah, I have already predefined these strings okay and app info in the string side. You'll have to do that when you're implementing this. All right, now how to trigger this? Triggering it from menu item has three essential steps. First, create an XML layout in res menu. Um, so it's not layout, it's not strings, it's a menu, it's a new item. And override these two methods, on create options menu and on options item selected. So this one basically sets the layout of all the menu items. On options item selected um, tells you which one was clicked, which one was selected, and then you deal with it. And before that, you have to set has options menu to true in on create. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it in our code, right? So on res, um, focus was wrong, command N, Android resource file, and here you select, instead of values or layout, select menu, and it knows exactly where to put it then. And we'll give it a name, fragment entry list, because it's the same layout file name, so it's easy to know where it's going to be. Okay, so it created a file for us. It's asking me to add to Git, which is all good. And inside that, we create an item. Okay, that item is going to take a title. It must have a title, um, and it will be a string. We'll call it info. Okay, so info is another string that I have already defined. Its value is info, so it will show the word info if we tell it to. Next, it should have an ID, and I'm going to call it menu info. Okay, and it takes an icon. So when you say icon, it by default it gives you Android, then drawable, and IC input add, which comes from the project. You already have a add button here. But if you go here and look at Android, you see a much richer selection. And here, look for info. Um, okay, and you'll see this menu info details. So it's the I button, which is the appropriate one here. Finally, we'll add how it should show. And these are all options which you can OR with one another. And we are going to say if room with text. So what it means is we'll show this one, this button if there is room, and show it with text if there is room. Otherwise, hide it in the hamburger icon. So when you have a bunch of menu options, some of them go in the hamburger icon, like settings and other things. So that's what we are saying here. Okay. Um, the next thing is to, in the list fragment, in the on create, set has options menu to true. So this basically tells you that it would like to participate in populating the options menu. Okay, that's all it does. Um, if this is missing, it won't show those. So it's a small step, but a crucial one. Now we need to override the methods on create options menu. Okay, and here we simply inflate the layout using the inflator. Inflate r dot menu dot fragment entry list, and we pass the menu option from there. Okay, so that is done. And finally, you have on options menu selected, Um, in here, so you may have a bunch of buttons and you can figure out which one you clicked by taking this item, the parameter, and get item ID, and then compare it with the menu button you are interested in. Okay, so what you want to do here, if you have it, you want to launch a new info dialog fragment and you call show on it. Um, and you have the um, get fragment manager, and it takes a string which is basically some name for this. So yeah, it's going to tell us that it may be null. um, I'll leave it like that for now. You can quickly fix it. Yeah, and then you should return true from here. So the deal with this true is, or this return value is, if it returns true, then it won't pass handling this to the activity or the parent view. Otherwise, it will keep doing that. Okay, but yeah, that's all. And then we are ready to go. So let's see how it looks on the other end. There is a bit of a lag, but I hope it will come up soon. Okay, so you see this I button here. That is because we wrote all that code. And I click that, and you see this message. Okay. Um, so I rotated the device. The fragment was recreated, tied well with the life cycle. So that part is also good. I'm clicking OK. It goes, and you see the word info showing up here because now it has room. So that's the idea with the if room thing that we saw earlier. All right, that's all. So this is the app. This is the starter point. I'm going to give you the code that we have seen so far, and then the assignment will ask you to go and do a few additional things. Okay, so you have the basic thing working here, but yeah, make sure you understand how those things are working. Otherwise, it may be difficult to do the assignment. All right. Okay, so let's stop here. Thank you guys, and then we'll discuss assignment in class. Bye.